I never agree with you, Dan. You're always wrong.
Always wrong. Always wrong. Oh man. Yeah. Let's see if I can put this one together. All right. Let's see what happens. We just hit play. And if it sucks, then
That's really all we're best at doing. That just playing.
we're best at hitting play. All right. Let's hit play. This is like a podcast episode 31. Well, it's Friday. How you feeling, baby?
Let's go.
We're feeling good. All right. You got this tomorrow. So. A lot of news today about politics. I don't know if you've heard, but I don't follow a ton. I try to follow a little bit. But it seems that there is this idea around the kind of classic crooked politician, the folks that are just in there for power, just in there for their own personal gain. And to me, I think that the idea of being a politician is incredibly admirable. I suppose on paper you can look at different cases where folks have gone in and gone in for their own personal needs. But politicians, as far as like representing their own district or their own state, is an incredibly admirable job to want. Where am I wrong on politicians?
Yeah, I think you're right on some of the aspects, but I think there's also like I'm not sure like the lifelong politician's a good thing. Just because, and hear me out. This is why. Like I don't think you can do your best job as a public servant for an extended period of time because it demands so much. Like because you have to do so much. Like it's really demanding on you. Like it's physically demanding, it's emotionally demanding. It's like it strains on all your relationships, everyone who knows you. Like it changes your dynamic with just everyone. I think there should be like just term limits for just like everything. But I also think
that's good.
I think also more people should go into it, and I think there should be less of a stigma against it. Like, oh, I'm a politician now.
Right. It's like it's weird. Like, oh, these, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. These damn politicians, am I right? It's like, no, I think politicians are actually like they can be very admirable in a lot of cases. But yeah, I totally agree with you on term limits. Yeah, it's weird that like I don't know. Can you imagine someone who has been serving in the Senate for 40 years, like voting on like how they must have voted, going back like into the 80s versus the issues that we face today as a society is just completely different. The fact that the folks are still around, like the idea of whether you're in Congress or Senate or the Supreme Court is like an actual lifetime appointment. It's kind of bananas.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing for sure. The lifetime appointment deal. It's just like. We do realize that near the end of life, people kind of lose a lot of lucidity. But you're like, wait, do we know that?
We know that, right? Yeah. Someone's over 80, like, and are deciding on, the most important cases in the country. It's a bit odd.
Exactly.
So, I don't know if that'll age well, but we'll see.
We'll see. All right. So logical fallacy here. So you have going to for your annual checkup, and your doctor walks in after all the nurses do all the real work, and your doctor walks in, and the doctor says, "Oh, Dan, you need to do X, Y, and Z." And you take one look at this doctor, and you're like, "Dude, I smell the cigarettes, and you're 50 pounds overweight. Why should I listen to you?" So what's that? What is it? So, but he's actually giving you good advice, but you're just not listening to it because of who he is. So what's the logical fallacy there?
I think I know this one. This is one of my favorites. This is one of my own personal used ones. I'm gonna go with ad hominem for the final answer.
Ooh, okay, kind of. So ad hominem.
Ooh, I thought I had this one.
Ad hominem is more like where you're consciously attacking someone for who they are. So it's like you're critiquing something they're saying to you because like. It's a more active critique. This is a genetic fallacy because it's about where the information comes from, the source. Like the source itself, like it's not like a critique to say they're overweight. They just are. It's not like you're not just saying, "Oh, like you fat piece of," but like you're not attacking them. But your subconscious realizes, hey, the source of this information is questionable.
Right.
But actually, just because a doctor's overweight, that doesn't mean they haven't gone through the requisite training to give you sound advice. It might actually be the right advice.
Yeah. So it's a genetic fallacy. Fallacy?
Genetic fallacy, like the source of it, like genetics, like the source.
From the source. Okay.
Yeah, like the source of it.
It's not like I would be attacking that doctor like personally. It would be like, oh, Dr. Will, like you're bad because of X, Y, Z. I'm just like the concept of him or her not following through with advice that they're giving. It's kind of like a hypocritical. I think it's hypocritical. So it's from their source. I'm with you. Genetic.
Right. And also just to add on to that, I think we also there's also the fallacy where like just because it's a logical fallacy, we discount that part of it. Like if your doctor's severely overweight, I think it's valid to raise red flags. I don't think that should be your only piece of evidence, but maybe get a new doctor too if your doctor's like can't handle stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where am I wrong.
All right, today. So let's get informative for people. So we have technology today that is allowing us to put ourselves out there more and more useful and effective ways. Take this incredible video show / podcast experiment. And there seems to be this idea that there's this kind of self-importance fallacy that once you put yourself out there, everyone will really care. But once you realize that once you actually put yourself out there, whether it's in writing or video, no one really cares. So we need to have more of that mindset when putting ourselves out there, and it's actually generally a great exercise when you do it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely liberating, right? When you're just like, oh, you know what? I guess like not many people actually were paying that much attention to me. Like we definitely get caught in that trap of just like assuming people care about us as much as we care about us.
Right.
Yeah, is that kind of what you're talking about there?
100%. Yeah, the liberation thing is there's this weird like I think before when I mentioned this one in a pre-show, I call it like the paradox of self-importance because it definitely is something to be like, oh, like if I put this video out there, like so many people will care or watch it. Or, like if I write this LinkedIn post or something, like so many people will like take up someone's day, or even like my line of work or in the business world, it's like, oh, if I like have this like big meeting, it's like you think about it, if you're selling to someone and you have like half-hour demo on their calendar, they have 15 other things that day in half-hour blocks. So like you're just not that important, dude. And I think it's actually a really liberating thing. And I hope that more folks can kind of realize that.
But I think it works in the opposite way too. So like for failure, it's like very liberating. Like when you mess up, it's just like no one saw that.
Right. Yeah. But okay, wait, tell me more because I thought you were going to go in the opposite direction. I thought you were going to be like,
no, just like
I
think a lot of people get kind of crippled into like taking action because they're like, oh my gosh, like what if I mess up? I'm going to be such an embarrassment. It's like, oh wait, no one cared when I actually did something great. Oh, okay, then definitely no one's going to care when I like do something very tiny that messes up.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely last thing I just thought of is like there's definitely an opportunity for this in the education space. So maybe you can champion this one will. But it's like it's definitely not something I don't even remember hearing much about that. Like the idea of like risk or risk management or I don't know. Growing up, you're supposed to get 100 on every test, like an A in every class. It's like mess up sometimes, folks.
Right, mess up on purpose. That's a hot tip. Where am I wrong? Where are you wrong?
On purpose, but you know what I mean.
So your magic wand here. This is an interesting one. You have a magic wand. Exactly. So it's about perfect knowledge with hiring practices. I know you work in sales, and you've seen a lot of probably hires and poor hires and good hires and things of that nature. Do you want employers to have perfect knowledge or completely opaque? Like you're just like, I don't know anything about this person. Like what would be more beneficial, do you think, for companies?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I like this one. It made me think of I think it was one of the Malcolm Gladwell books back in the day. Maybe it was Blink, or he talked about like if you there was a study done where it's like if you had access to someone's like room, like where they like, slept and like took care of whatever they had to take care of in their home, like that would give you a better indicator of who they actually were versus in a classic interview, for example. But yeah, I think there's going to be more transparency in almost every field moving forward. I would say, yeah, you can know everything about me if I can know everything about you, Mr. or Mrs. Employer. Like that would be my counter. Like, what do you need to know here? Let's figure this out. Let's see if we're a good fit. Kind of like relationship.
My hunch is no one would hire anyone or want to work anywhere if they knew everything.
Right. Yeah. Everyone just stays in their homes all day. Like, no one can know the weird things about me. Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like there's two edges to this because there's like if employers know more, they can make a better decision. But then it's like, well, is like what employers are looking for actually the best barometer of whether someone's going to do well? It's like, oh, I want someone who's like really together and like has the perfect room and like other than it's like, well, they might not be the best person to be like a gritty salesperson.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point for sure.
So it's like it really brings into question just like, do we actually know what we need in jobs? Even if we could know perfectly the criteria we're looking for, if we could measure that, we would still probably not make the best hires. That's my hunch.
Yeah. It's interesting like the idea of like the focus group, and that's kind of the flaw in the idea behind the whole knowledge thing. I know. But yeah, it's funny that like people will think that they know what they want, and then if you like give that to them, then oftentimes they won't respond
totally
in the way that they think that they will. So it's the weirdest thing because like, oh, I want a person, an employer that does this, employee that does that, a politician that does this, and a focus group, and then they like will go out and do that, and they're like, oh, actually, I don't know. So it's like it just goes back to I don't know, putting your ideas out into the market and seeing like what that's the best way. Especially if you're developing a new product,
Yeah.
You can do all the planning you want, but until you actually get it out there, no one fucking knows.
True. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about like with the fact that we just like hire people. It's such a strange.
It's a weird leap of faith.
Why are we? I mean, I guess it comes down to just like job security is such a high value in especially in American life, where like if you don't have a job, it's like that's a huge risk factor for you and your family. So
yeah,
maybe that's why we take it so seriously. It's just like, okay, even if you're doing like a mediocre job, like you'll keep your job. Like we don't want to screw up your whole family. Like I don't know, it's almost like an act of compassion to like not have a strict firing policy, which is like.
I know that if to fire someone in like Europe, you need like a fucking
I've heard it's
crazy case against them, don't you? Don't you need like 5 years of like documented like I don't know, like misgivings, like ooh, they showed up late, like on April 18th, 2016, they were late by 2.5 minutes. Like you need to put that together for like a proper, firing 6 years later or something like that. That's just what I have a friend from Sweden, and that's basically firsthand what it's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing these things, so I don't know.